doing it. You supposed to be happy you sitting there with Kid L. Why you mad?
The Kid L Podcast.
We're rolling, man. We got the legendary Dawgface. Calderon is back in the building yet again, man. A lot's been going on with you, bro. A lot of people have some type of angst towards you, animosity, and just a lot of problems with you. And the thing that sucks about it all is this. You were becoming more prolific. Your Instagram was going insane. You had your Instagram deleted so many times, but you started this new one. It only has like...
What's your help?
I have to help you out, man.
Right.
I know you're an icon in this motherfucking city, but you take it from under 10,000 followers, but have the engagement of somebody who has 50,000 to 100,000 followers.
I was
Crazy,
in the million every month.
You know what I'm saying?
On Instagram, on views.
And then on YouTube, you're dominating as well. Now you lost your Instagram, and then you lost your YouTube.
Yeah, I was at 60,000 subscribers on YouTube.
Whew, and they were I just don't understand it, man. Were you able to appeal to YouTube, or?
I appealed. I lost because it was such a bombardment of threatening, and people were sending emails and then saying I was threatening them, and they were going to take police action and shit like that. So I lost the appeal on that. But it don't matter to me because I'm on Discord, Patreon now, which is what I was supposed to do because my content is so controversial. I was supposed to do that to begin with, right? So I had to already start to shift my content over to Patreon, which is subscription based, which you can complain all you want to complain. You don't like it, unsubscribe. So yeah, they took it. It was what it was. I was upset. I was aggravated a tad bit, but my following is already coming back in droves because they're looking for me. I'm a staple now in the YouTube space. Most people, when they look at YouTube, they think YouTube is the same as social media. It's not, right? In social media, in the world of YouTube, in the world of Instagram and Facebook or TikTok, people like to see train wrecks, so they watch how they watch. When it comes to YouTube, people subscribe to hear your train of thought. They subscribe to hear your vantage point and your take on all things, whether it be religion, entertainment, politics, or whatever the case may be, right? So it's a real following on YouTube. YouTube is not social media.
Right.
So we call it the YouTube streets. It's a world within its own.
Yeah, because you're actually a consumer of the product because of the product, not just because of the fact that you have a bunch of followers or a bunch of subscribers.
Right, because most of those followers, that shit don't be real. Motherfuckers just want to see something.
Yeah, for sure. I remember Snapdog talked about that for Instagram. He's like, man, I had 1 million followers, and then he's like, I lost my page, and I felt like everybody treated me like I was nobody after that. Kind of like he had to like kind of reemerge with Instagram. But it's like weird how people use that as a gauge of like, if they're gonna listen to you or follow you.
Yeah, your cool factor. Your social media status is your cool factor.
Yeah.
Except for the world of YouTube. The world of YouTube is a monster, right? It is about people wanting to genuinely hear your perspective, your take on whatever you choose to talk about.
Now, unfortunately, we're talking about the OGs of the city, and to see you guys in this rumble right now is kind of confusing everybody because everybody's like, this is kind of like Detroit's time to be more peaceful and figure things out. And,
Ain't no peace, right? There's no peace in Detroit. That's all a fallacy. That's all a false narrative. Speaking of gaslighting, speaking of the fake ass Detroit versus everybody shit, that shit is never true. It's always been a finesse. It's as simple as that. When you look at the history, we talked about the Streetlordz and Eastside Chedda Boyz and the generation prior to what we have right now. Guys were at war with each other. It was never peace. They were never sharing information. They were never sharing platforms. They were never sharing ideas. They were never sharing contacts and connections. They were all about themselves. It's as simple as that. Yeah. So there is no peace. I don't negotiate with terrorists.
Well, when I talked to G-Rock and I talked to Big Herc, and they both said that it wasn't until late Icewood and a member like Wipeout got into something that there was ever like really a problem between the two groups. But before that, it was like kind of fine-ish. Like it wasn't like
Jesse James said that.
He said that too?
Jesse James said that when I interviewed him. That's what he said.
Okay.
There's no one thing you can trace back to point the finger at what the issue was on the surface. But when you talk to the members, they will of course they're gonna say, there's no issue. So if there's no issue, if there was no complication, there was no wrinkle in the fabric, how did it turn into shootings? How did it turn into murders? How did it turn into fightings? Where did it come from? Nowhere? Bro, you know enough about Detroit, know that motherfuckers don't take shit to that extreme for no reason. There has to be a point of explosion. I know what those point of explosions are now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You've been digging around and figuring out certain information.
I ain't been digging around. Correction, brother. They have been coming to me with knowledge. With how many? Yo, come on. How many times do you get information about people who you've interviewed? How many times do people reach out to you with shit that you ignore because it's not a part of what you do? Right? Think about it.
That happens all the time.
All the time. So I didn't reach out to anybody. They reached out to me.
And sometimes it's hard to take certain information because, like, what's the source? How do we know it's valid? Like, what's going on? So a lot of the information that you're getting, well, I want to be professional when we talk about this because I do have love for Juan. I do have love for Nuke. So I want to keep it like on a level of talking about it with a little bit of ease. I don't want it to get too crazy, but I want to ask, what was the start of the issue? Because it first arose with you interviewing Jesse James, Streetlordz Jesse James.
Jesse James took to Instagram and said that he was interested in being interviewed by podcasters.
Yes.
The world over. I was tagged into it. I believe you were tagged into it. I don't necessarily remember, but I always say I believe it was me and Kid L because we're considered in the Detroit area as two of the most serious people on the landscape of podcasting or whatever the case may be, right? I didn't even see it. He made the post like today. I went to sleep and woke up. I had 50, 60 people sharing what he had said in my DM. I looked at it and at first I wasn't going to touch it because I understood the gravity of what it was he listed that he wanted to talk about. He knew he had to list some things because he's in the twilight of, I don't even know what we want to call it, twilight, but he's retired. He's on to greener pastures, right? So in my thinking, and when I talked to him, he knew he had to throw a lot of clickbait out there in terms of things he was willing to talk about. The things that he said he was willing to talk about are things that make up the underbelly of hip hop, bro. There's no story. There's Eminem story, who cares? This is Detroit, right? Big Sean's story, who cares? Everybody who is somebody from the ages of 20 to 65 wants to know what really happened, what led to all of that carnage, what led to all of that anger and animosity, what led up to people getting killed and people going to jail. What happened? Yeah. There's no story more revered or more sought after than the real story of what happened between the Streetlordz and Eastside Chedda Boyz, right. And then you can throw in Rock Bottom in that equation as well. People want to know that. People don't talk about it because they understand that that story is attached to shit that can send you to jail for the rest of your life. So people stray away from it, and even if it's not about like saying something that can get somebody booked, it's about being afraid or intimidated of saying something specifically about Juan, specifically about other people who are still running around here. People are intimidated. And in my thinking, right, you cannot be. So the world of YouTube is a world that they are trying to control, like they tried to control the music business. And you see what happened with that. They ran that shit into the motherfucking ground. When you think about the whole concept of Detroit versus everybody, that's a finesse, bro. Whenever I hear somebody say, oh, it's Detroit versus everybody, I'm looking for the sleight of hand movement. I'm looking for the 3-card Molly type play where you taking the P in and you flipping around. That shit's never been true. Detroit has always been a city where it's us versus them.
When you're talking about Detroit versus everybody, and that kind of tells into how you just finished that statement, people use it as like a mission statement to get you to side with them. Like whatever your cause is or whatever you're promoting or product you have, throwing the Detroit versus everybody on it adds to it, even when it comes to music or if it comes to merchandise or whatever it is, right? Do you feel like it's kind of like an easy way for people to be like, this is my mission statement, is that I'm from Detroit, or we need to make Detroit as large as life?
Bro, behind the scenes, motherfuckers ain't trying to make Detroit a motherfucking thing. Motherfuckers are doing what they've always done. Think for self, move for self, operate for self. Big up them and little dog you. That's what the fuck they've been doing. Right. Do you know how many artists who've had deals on the floor, right? And other artists who are already established shot those deals down. They don't really want me to get to fucking talking, L. They don't really want me to get to talking because I know the whole story. I know who backdoored Blade. I know who backdoored Wipeout. I know everything based on people who were actually there. Whether I ever tell the story or not is one thing, but they better leave me the fuck alone.
So basically, after you came out with this information, after the interview with Jesse James, which is what sparked everything.
The interview sparked everything, but Jesse James didn't accuse anybody of doing anything on my interview. My interview was an hour and 45 minutes.
But he made posts afterwards.
But it had nothing to do with me. See, this how stupid motherfuckers is.
Right.
Motherfuckers don't know how to compartmentalize, right? So what happened was Jesse James took to Instagram expressing his desire to want to be interviewed. That's one. Number two, he tagged multiple people. I believe you and I were the only two local podcasters that he tagged, right?
You know why it gets misconstrued is because you were posting the stuff that he was posting. So whatever Jesse James would post about his lineage of what happened, you would repost it, and it's almost like, oh, Dawgface is telling the story too. Like Dawgface is basically vouching for this story to be verified as true.
Well, let me just tell you. So that's what you call promo. That's what you call a lead up.
Yeah.
If they don't understand that, fuck them.
I get you.
You hear me? Yeah, that's just how it go. So I talked to Jesse about almost 3 hours prior to pressing the record button.
Right.
Jesse James was all set to go nuclear. Let me tell you something, kid. When I say nuclear, he was all set to tell the entire fucking 100% truth publicly. He told me behind the scenes everything that everybody has always wanted to know about who did what, who shot who backdoored who was fucking whose bitch, who fucking who baby mama now, who fucking Blade's wife, who was fucking Blade baby mama, who got a baby by Little Blade's girlfriend. He told me all that. Right? I chose to stray away from that or not to touch it during my interview. I asked him one question that could have been considered controversial. I said, during your long soliloquy on Instagram, you said that Blade Icewood and Wipeout got backdoored. Do you know what backdoored mean? He said, yes. I said, was that true? He said, without a question, no doubt, it's true. I didn't ask another question about who did what. I didn't try to get him to answer it. I didn't try to force it. I left it alone. I had to do that because he said something about it. So I'd have been derelict in my responsibilities as a podcast not to ask those questions.
Everybody, I mean, I watched that interview, and everybody that watched the interview in the comments, they had that they objected to opposing to you for that. They were saying, you're cutting him off, doggy. You're cutting off Jesse James when he's getting ready to reveal things. You keep redirecting him every time he's getting ready to say things, but that's intentional.
That was intentional.
Yeah, because you're not trying to get him to expose.
No, because he was amped up.
So here's the question: if Jesse James does an interview with you, he's getting ready to tell all, and you're redirecting his conversation so he doesn't tell all, why did you do that? Were you trying to protect the group or anybody, or were you just like, this is just not, the city's not ready for the story?
I talked to him for 2 hours and 48 minutes. I'm just gonna say 3 hours, right? Prior to pressing the record button.
Yeah.
He told me every fucking thing, bro.
Right.
And I told him that I'm not gonna touch X, Y, and Z, right? We can talk about it. I'm gonna ask you a question about what you said on your Instagram post initially when you expressed interest to being interviewed. We're gonna talk about it. I'm gonna touch on it, but we're not gonna get into no stories about who did what, when, why, and how. I was supposed to interview Jesse at 8 o'clock. The Blue Da Vinci interview came down the pipe. I had to take care of that. Because I knew Meech was coming home. I already knew Meech was on his way home, so I knew the Blue Da Vinci interview was gonna get some traction. If not then later, because of the Meech situation. So I told him to hold on. I said I'd be done by 11:30. So I called him. He started to explain to me what the 5K1 meant with him, right?
Okay.
And in that particular sense, what the paperwork that put up, right? He explained to me that it was a situation with Brick, who's a legendary. Brick is one of the original founders of the Streetlordz, right? So he explained to me what it was that meant and how it happened, and he told me about something that you can only know if you're familiar with federal law and federal prosecution of criminal cases, right? So it is true that people catch Fed cases and people agree to cooperate against each other for lighter sentences. That is absolutely true.
When you say cooperate against each other,
cooperate, like if me and you catch a Fed case,
yeah,
they want me to tell on you,
yes,
and you to tell on me. You would tell me and you say, okay, we facing 20 years, motherfucker. If you tell on me, right, and I tell on you, right, we can finagle our way down to a lesser sentence.
Okay.
So you have people who agree to give, they got us anyway. They have everything they need.
And me and you both know about this. Like,
yes.
I know you're going to do it. You know what I'm going to do, but we're going to get a reduced sentence.
That happens every day, bro.
So that's what his
take on it was, right? He had people who were involved with the whole situation who verified, in fact, they agreed Just like what the whole Rollo thing is talked about, but it's different because they all agreed to it. Hey, they were all communicating with each other through their lawyers. Hey, listen, they want you to say X, Y, Z. So they agreed to give information about each other knowingly to get a downward departure.
So it's not really ratting. It's like a mutual.
It's a mutual exchange of information
Yeah.
for the purposes of getting your sentence knocked down. So
Right.
that's what he explained to me.
Gotcha.
And then I did my own checking because I have people in the feds right now, right? And then something else came across my table when it came to the cartel, right? The actual cartel, Mexican, the Hondurans, the Guatemalans, the Costa Ricans, the Colombians, the Peruvians, the Venezuelans, right? They all tail on the black end of their drug business in America. If they get caught, they tail because they don't consider telling on niggas as ratting because they're not a part of their culture,
Wow.
right? So I'm like, what? So I thought about it. El Chapo was the biggest fucking rat in the history of the DEA. El Chapo got to where he is by having a cooperative understanding with the DEA and FBI. At least he would have never made it to the top of the Mexican drug cartel. He would have never made it because they always trying to kill him. He had a cooperative understanding with the fucking DEA and the FBI. He gave people up in order to stay in power and in order to ascend the ladder of power in the Mexican drug cartel.
Jesus.
Yeah. So my people telling me right now, specifically the Mexican cartels, they don't consider, as long as you don't rat on somebody inside the cartel, they don't consider that ratting. As long as you don't tell on one of them, they don't care. But giving up a nigga, it's called giving up. You giving up a nigga, give him up. We don't give a fuck. They niggas.
So like pawns, basically.
Yes. They do it all day, every fucking day.
Makes sense. Because it's not part of the family.
No, why would we go do 20, 30 years in prison for a nigger?
Well, I mean, if it's more so that it's somebody outside of the actual family.
But see, listen. So our standards of telling is, if you tell on anybody, I'm black, you're Chaldean. If I tell on you, my people say I'm a rat, right? If you tell on me, is the Chaldean community going to ostracize you for saving yourself?
Well, you know the Chaldean Mafia was like a real thing.
I know him, bro. I was in prison with the Colossos, bro. What are you
I'm
talking
saying,
about?
yeah.
I was in prison. I did bit. One of the main ones was my man in the penitentiary. Everybody hated him because of how much power and influence they had when they was on the street, on Beirut, on East 7 Mile.
No, I
They're
feel
my people.
No, we have connections. Our family has connections with them as well, and it's like, you know, there was kind of a no snitching rule. Like it was
Because the Chaldean Mafia, bro, they were really like Chaldean niggas, bro. You know what I'm saying? So they had the whole thing where we're going to stick to the script and we're going to be more on the black organic side of the gangsterism, right?
yeah.
But those Mexican drug cartels, they don't have no such. It's like, as long as you tell one of us, it's y'all free game, give them up.
So when Jesse James is getting accused of this rat thing, it's basically not really rat. It's pretty much just coming to an agreement with a
Bro,
person.
it's when you expose somebody in the black community for being a snitch, bro, people are going to run with it. They're not going to listen to all the nuances that could have possibly went into why you did, because their whole thing is, if you do it, you did it, you did it, you did it. Everybody's scared, bro. Nobody was going to interview Jesse James. Me and you talked about it. And you like, shit, dog, this really on you. This is your type of speed. You know what I'm saying? So go ahead and do what you got to do. I support you and everything you got going on with the shit, right? We talked about it.
Well, yeah, I mean, I declined the interview for multiple reasons. One of them was being like, I knew you fit for that. Like, when they called me to tell me to do it, I was like, that's a Dawgface interview. That's not a Kid L interview. Like, I don't want to... Like, you know the depths of this shit so much that it's like people want to hear that. They want to hear the depths of everything, your history, the richness of your history and the understanding of the situation versus a guy who has to, like, figure out what the fuck happened. Like, I don't want to be like, what the fuck is the point of me doing?
with it. So there's nothing to say
You're right there.
Oh, he was in prison when this shit was happening. Man, nothing happens in a vacuum, bro. Let me tell you something. The beef between the Streetlordz and the Eastside Chedda boys was like Pac versus Biggie, bro. It was that crucial. Niggas in the street getting dropped, getting killed, get shot over the disagreement, right? You don't think he reverberated back in prison? My nigga, this Michigan. So in prison, in level 4s and level 5s, you had to choose sides like Pac and Biggie.
Really?
Motherfuckers who was in prison getting stabbed, getting murdered about whose side you was on. The Detroit The MDOC is full of Detroit motherfuckers. Eastside, Westside motherfuckers. There are more Eastside motherfuckers in the MDOC than anything. And Eastside motherfuckers in prison, in the MDOC, they stick together more than anybody. It was a war inside the MDOC. That shit wasn't just, it didn't happen in a vacuum out here. That shit, man, motherfuckers in the penitentiary hear shit about what's going on out here faster than motherfuckers out here hear about it. They in there collecting information and collecting data about what's going on out here. So niggas in prison was getting stabbed. I'm in Jackson. I'm in St. Louis level 4. I'm in Max joints. Motherfuckers on the South Yard, North Side getting thrown over the fucking galleries. Like a prison gallery with a rail. They getting thrown over the galleries, landing 2 fucking stories down, dying about beefing between the Eastside Chedda Boyz and the Streetlordz. Anybody hearing my voice who was in prison, they know I'm telling the truth. That's something he don't know. So when motherfuckers say, oh, he wasn't even out here, motherfucker, that shit came to prison. Niggas was getting their ass stabbed out, bro. I watched niggas get hit in the face with ice picks and get their ass plucked out their head. I watched niggas get stabbed in the heart with shanks this long, razor sharp, and die over the Streetlordz versus Eastside Chedda Boyz because it was an Eastside, Westside beef. So when the motherfuckers say, oh, you wasn't here, nigga, we had to deal with that shit in prison. And you can't run in prison. There's nowhere for you to go. You can't run to Ohio. You can't run to Arizona. You can't run to Gilbert, Arizona. You can't run to Atlanta. You in prison, we stuck with each other. Niggas in that bitch dying. I wasn't no fucking level 1. I was in prison. Nigga, I was in level 4, level 5. Niggas ain't never going home, ever. I had an outdate, but my behavior, I'm stabbing and fucking niggas up so scandalous in that bitch, they put me in level 4, level 5. And everybody know it. You interviewed Marvin Cotton.
Yeah.
Me and Marvin Cotton have the same religious inclination. Marvin Cotton was one of the first people who kicked me out the Nation of Islam.
Really?
Fuck yeah. Where's that St. Louis level 4 when the whole Streetlordz shit was going on? We was at St. Louis, level 4. Correctional facility.
He kicked you out?
Yes, because they told me, I said, I'm finna stab this motherfucker. Because I gotta let them know. And they're like, hell no. You can't do that, bro. Know what I'm saying? We ain't supposed to be an aggressor in word, action, and deed unless somebody attacks us. And if somebody attacks us as a brotherhood, then we band together and push them off the edge of the fucking earth. That's protocol, right? But they told me don't stab a motherfucker. I stabbed him any fucking way.
Oh my God.
I got suspended for the Nation of Islam for doing something I wasn't supposed to. We govern ourselves in there. The police don't govern us, right? At that point in time, now it's all different. It's all ratty in that bitch now. But back then, we governed ourselves, and the police respected that. The COs respected the hierarchy of the different religious organizations in the penitentiary, bro. They respected that. They would go to you to squash a beef versus trying to confront you with a bunch of COs because we outnumbered them 50-1 in that bitch. So they would try to squash it and squash any problems by going to the hierarchy of the leaderships of the gangs and of the religious organizations before shit spiraled out of control.
Was it affiliations of the people inside that are creating the East Side, West Side, or following the
They're
East
from
Side,
the
West
East Side, West Side, bro.
Okay, and the thing is, it's individuals beefs though. Like,
What you mean?
when it came,
Nothing happens in a vacuum, Kid L.
no. What I'm saying is, when we're talking about the beef with Blade Icewood and Wipeout, right? Those were individual identities. That's what G-Rock told me, at least. Unless you're saying that's not accurate.
not true.
So this is way bigger than.
Listen, how the fuck they get to? Think about what happened. Think about how many lives were lost.
Well, you said you compared it to Tupac and Biggie, and Tupac and Biggie were singular.
Tupac and Biggie, it was not singular, bro. It didn't happen in a vacuum. Tupac and Biggie, it started with them, but it went on to represent two coasts,
right? East
versus West,
right?
So it started from a more centralized location, but then it morphed into something bigger than that.
And the reason I'm asking you this is not to put holes in anything you're saying. What I'm doing is I'm trying to figure out how.
I was there.
No, I understand. What I'm saying is, how does, just like Tupac and Biggie, it starts off with two individuals, in whatever way it becomes the East Coast versus West Coast. And in Detroit, it's Blade Icewood, Wipeout. All of a sudden, it's East Side versus West Side.
Blade Icewood. It is Streetlordz Juan, Blade Icewood, basically versus Wipeout and Tough Tone.
Now, here's the thing about it, right? Those are individuals that
represent a group.
Represent a group, right? How did that spread to the point where now in prison there is a division? What happened?
It's simple. Simple. I'm glad you asked.
Yeah.
How it happens is nothing happens in a vacuum, bro.
Mm-hmm.
And people are affiliated and associated with people. You don't think it's no street lord motherfuckers who they cousins and nephews and in the prison system? You don't think it's no the Eastside Chedda boys when they went up? I'm in prison when they dropped because we were listening to Streetlordz all day. All we was hearing was Streetlordz shit, West Side shit, 7 Mile shit, Joy Road, X9 shit. Motherfuckers on the East Side in prison, we don't want to hear that shit, nigga. So when old boy dropped, the East Side niggas in prison, we have somebody telling our story from the East Side perspective. So it's never gonna just be between them and them. It's gonna morph into East Side, West Side issue, just like when DBC got into it with Team East Side. Right. And it wasn't even Team East Side. When they got into that fight at that fucking black party, bro, when they got down on HBK, when HBK got into a web on them, and it happened, that shit wasn't just between Doughboy Cash Out and Green Guys, Vez, Team Eastside. It turned into an Eastside, Westside beef, just like you saw happen with the Streetlordz and the Eastside Chedda boys. In Detroit, bro, we territorial. It's Eastside, Westside till we die, period. And motherfuckers gonna represent where they from. Even thinking to do with it, we Eastside niggas, we got the rad. We Westside niggas, we got the rad. All that shit come together like that. That's how it happens. Yes. Nothing happens in a vacuum. Nothing is a singular incident. One singular incident between me and you could turn into a catastrophe when you have people behind you who willing to ride and die for you, and so do I.
Right. Let me talk about. I want to. Since now we have an understanding of that situation, I wanted to keep up to date with what you got going on. What's been new
Dawgface
in the
TV
Dawgface
podcast?
Yep. Which is.
I'm back up on YouTube. I'm on Patreon. Dawgface TV 2. Dawgface TV Podcast 2 on YouTube. On Patreon, it's Dawgface TV Podcast.
Damn, man. That shit sucks.
Click the link in my bio. Follow me on Instagram, Dawgface TV Podcast on Instagram. Click the link in my bio to take you right to my Patreon. Because Patreon is raw and uncut. No restrictions. Not that I would do all that, but I can say it. It's subscription based. If you don't like it, unsubscribe.
How's your subscriptions been going since you started the Patreon?
It's been going steady. You know what I'm saying? It's been going steady. I'm loving it. The money, you get an instant check. You don't got to wait till you be monetized. You monetize right away because it's all subscription based.
It's dope.
So far, I've already made a couple of grand on Patreon since I started it 2 weeks ago.
That's good to hear, man. It was tough to hear about the YouTube, but so now Dawgface is just continuing the podcast.
What was tough to hear about it?
It sucked, man.
What was tough to hear about it? Was it appropriate?
No, I said it was tough. It was tough to hear that you lost the shit. As a fellow fucking person of media, I'm like, I was pissed off.
Watch this. Have people been calling you recently, telling you, people, no names,
yes,
not to interview me, not to deal with me?
Yes.
What kind of relationship do me and you have?
We've been working together since you came here.
I've been supportive of you.
Yes.
So the people who have been calling you, asking you not to deal with me whatsoever, have they been supportive? Have they raised their voice? When motherfuckers try to attack you, have they raised their voice and said that's not fair?
And I was going to point that out to a couple cats because a couple people reached out to me during that situation saying like, why aren't you voicing up for us? And I was like, where the fuck were y'all when motherfuckers were talking crazy about me and you guys didn't say shit when everybody was going crazy on me?
And
Nobody
it was lightweight agreeing with this shit.
Yeah.
If you would have failed, if your whole show and your whole get down would have failed, they would have sat back and laughed at you and never raised their voice. Bro, a friend is a friend who's going to speak up for you in your time and hour of need. They playing the art of war with you. They sitting back watching you get attacked and not raising their mighty voices in support of Kid L. They ain't no motherfucking friend.
Yeah.
They ain't no friend. When niggas was attacking you, I spoke up for you. I was being attacked.
Yeah.
People were texting me, man, why you let him sink? Fuck him. We got him on the ropes. And I said, hell no. Hell no, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, he a Calderon. He ain't black. Motherfucking business. You ain't gotta be. What are you talking about? You trying to use the art of war, the art of deception on me to turn against somebody who has been nothing but a friend. In the world of podcasting, you have been a friend to me. Meanwhile, these motherfuckers ain't never did shit for me. Right now, my shit just got took. My Instagram and my YouTube. None of these same motherfuckers who asked me to go against you, none of them have shouted me out on their story, follow Dawgface. None of them. I'm not no motherfucking drone, bro. I'm going to stick by and stand by the motherfuckers who stand by me. Period. When I got interviewed on podcasts all in Atlanta, they said, what's up with you and Kid L? You seen it. These motherfucking podcasts got 300,000-400,000 subscribers on YouTube. What's up with the Kid L motherfucker? That's my guy. Shout out to Up for Debate. Shout out to my man Public Figure Boogie. Shout out to Wano. Shout out to Trap Talk Blue, right? Shout out to the motherfuckers who ain't afraid. Because now he got motherfuckers afraid to tell the truth about what he did. Because they're afraid he's going to get their shit shut down.
Yeah.
He didn't want you to interview me. Don't fuck with Dawgface, Kid L. We got him against the ropes. You got me against the ropes. Is that what you think? You got me against the ropes. You calling Kid L. Don't support him, Kid L. We got him. Who is we? You talking.
Yeah.
All that talking. Talk about that boxing match, you hoe ass nigga.
I wanna get more updates on the Dawgface podcast.
I want to have you on.
Oh yeah, no, I'm back. Yeah, for sure. Whenever you need me, I want to get. You lost everything.
Yeah, everything.
Now, are people that you were supposed to interview still coming on? Like, is everything still on schedule?
Listen, the YouTube universe, bro.
Yeah.
It is not social media.
Yeah.
Right? They don't give a so YouTube, they follow me because they enjoy my perspective. Right. They enjoy my insight on whatever I'm talking about. Right? You can't take my motherfucking subscribership from me. I dropped a new YouTube page and I had 2,000 subscribers in less than 48 hours because people are looking for me. So my name is basically the same.
Yeah.
So when you go look what happened, we don't know what happened.
Let's talk about Donald Trump and Kamala Harris.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about that?
Is the world of politics on full display? It's election season. We got a couple of weeks.
Yeah, November 5th, right? Yeah.
Got a couple of weeks is on and popping. Yeah, interesting. I'm waiting to see.
Who are you pushing towards as far as your vote?
I'm voting for Donald Trump.
Okay.
And it's not because I agree with everything he says or everything that he does. And I do understand that there is. So the whole thing is what black people, and I'm speaking to black people here, what black people need to realize is that one of the things that hold us back is that we fall in love with philosophies. We fall in love with ideologies. We fall in love with political parties without checking to see if those philosophies, those ideologies, and those political affiliations are beneficial to us, right? You're not supposed to vote your conscience based on the history of what you have been doing. You're supposed to look at the candidates. You're supposed to look to see if what they say and what they're proposing to champion. Now, all politicians speak with forked tongues, bro. We know that because you can't please everybody.
Right.
But you're supposed to vote for the people who have your best interests at heart in local, state, and federal elections. So you look at the candidate, you look at what he stands for, and it's easy to point the finger at Donald Trump and say he's racist, he's misogynistic, he's xenophobic, he's whatever, right? It's easy to look at that. But when you look at Kamala Harris has been a political figure going back to her days in California. And when you look at the policies, when you look at some of the things that she has championed, right? Those things have not necessarily been advantageous for black people as a whole. When you look at her record in the legislature in California, when you look at her record as the Attorney General of the state of California, it's horrible as it relates to issues that pertain to black people as a whole. Horrible. So the whole thing about her being black, right? Oh, she's black. You should vote for her because she's black. Bro, that's like saying, bro, as black people, we know some of our biggest enemies are people who look just like us. So I don't vote for people just because they black. In the ideal world, I would love to vote for that sister, right? But they made a point of it by saying, and we're still in this administration of Biden. Early on in the Biden administration, when they were running for campaigning, right? It was black this, black that. As soon as she got in office, it was, I'm Jamaican and Indian. She moved away from the core black thing.
Right.
She didn't do anything to support or enhance anything that has to do with black people, period.
Well, they do whatever they can to get the votes, and then once they get in office, everything changes.
It's called pandering, bro.
Right.
We know there's pandering that exists on both sides of the aisle.
The weirdest thing she does is she changes her accent from city to city. That's always like...
It's the fakest shit in the world.
Yeah, that's weird.
That's pimping and pandering on full display.
Yeah,
Be yourself. If we love you, we're gonna love you for who you are.
There's like a video of her asking her assistant, like, she's like, "What city are we in?" And then right when she tells him what city, she changes her accent for that city. I'm like, whoa, that's like kind of weird, man. Like,
It's not kind of weird.
Yeah.
It is weird.
Yeah, it is
That is
weird.
pandering in full display, and they all do it to a lesser, greater extent. But if you try to tell us to vote for her, we owe her that because she's a black woman. Since when? She looks like our aunties and our mothers and our grandmothers and all that shit. But the things that she has done as a politician, those things have not been advantageous to us. And another thing, when it comes to all the criticism that Ice Vezo and Peasy and most recently Trick has gotten or received for taking a picture with Donald Trump. Fuck, what are you're criticizing them for taking a picture with somebody or endorsing somebody. They don't have to subscribe to your train of thought. And because they don't, that don't mean that they are any less important or any less supportive of black people as a whole than you are.
I think the coolest thing about all the rappers taking pictures of the presidents is that, like, it takes a lot to get in those rooms. You don't just get in those rooms.
It tells you something about what's going on in Detroit. They
Yeah.
understand. They wouldn't do it if they didn't think Detroit was an integral part of electing whoever the next president was.
Yeah.
I ain't got a problem with that.
I think it's cool, man.
Yeah.
I think it's like you're seeing your favorite rappers of all time, like, get to that. Like, imagine Peasy when he was growing up, all the crazy shit he went through in his life, and then one day he's standing next to the president of the United States.
They all went through crazy shit, bro. Trick went
All
to
of them.
prison.
All of
People don't
them,
know
yeah.
that. I was in prison with Trick, bro.
Really?
Yeah, Trick didn't come out of nowhere. Trick came from the big yard back 40 with me.
Damn. Did he have that same kind of atmosphere
Same shit.
as he is outside?
Same. He knocked your
Yeah.
ass backwards. Same shit.
Damn.
Nothing different.
Damn. So you got to watch his run of becoming one of the biggest artists coming from Detroit.
Mm-hmm.
You got to see him, like, become mainstream basically for a moment.
I was still in prison when he came home.
Oh, okay.
So I got to see it from a prison cell, from a TV.
Yeah, that's insane. So for you, it's Donald Trump. And what's the positive ends of it? What's the sides that you're seeing that you like from Donald Trump that's gonna help support the black community?
I like the fact that he's straightforward, right?
Mhm.
What you get is what you see. What you see is what you get, right? All politicians lie. All politicians have to toe the line and have to try to sell multiple messages to multiple groups or different groups of people, right? All politicians lie. All politicians pander. But one thing about Donald Trump is he ain't gonna lie to you. He's gonna tell you the exact fucking truth. That's refreshing in the world of politics. That's why so many people gravitate towards him, because we are sick of the status quo. We're sick of politicians speaking with forked tongue. We sick of that shit. We sick of them patting babies on the back and smacking women on the ass and grabbing them by the pussies. Donald Trump.
Wasn't he the one who did that?
Yeah, but my figuratively speaking, what I'm saying, yeah. My whole thing is it's refreshing to see a motherfucker. He's a male chauvinist pig like we all are.
Yeah.
He like pussy like we all do.
I'm not a chauvinist pig.
We all are.
I'll grab a pussy, but only if it's consensual.
Yeah, it is. What it is.
It's like
I was joking about some of that shit I just said.
Nah,
but the whole thing is refreshing to hear somebody speak with plain language and mean what they say and say what they mean. We all know that whether you like it or not, what you get is what you get. He ain't gonna hold you up.
one of my cousins owns a pretty big business in Detroit, and he said, he's like, when Donald Trump was president, he's like, I promise you my business was booming. He's like, I have no clue why. He's like, just everything was going crazy for me.
Mm-hmm.
But also it was kind of towards like fucking COVID checks and shit like that.
Yeah,
so
well,
he
see,
never-
the whole thing is, bro. So the president doesn't actually control a lot of the shit that
They
we're
say-
affected by, right?
yeah.
There's the Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate really control most of the legislation that would affect us from a financial standpoint.
Right,
You know?
right.
The president is a big booming voice, but without the Senate and without the House, then presidents can be stymied, right? So they need to have, it is a coexisting branch of government, the Senate and the House. So the presidents by themselves can do nothing. They can do something, but they can't really do anything that's going to sway the
I
country
actually want
as
to
a
read
whole.
a comment somebody made about you and the situation when everything arose, because it has something to do with the what we're talking about, which is the rappers taking pictures of the presidents.
Right.
I think Detroit Rap News had made a post about you. Let me see where it's at. Dawgface, Calderon, where are we at here with you? Did they take down that post of you? He was saying that your wife paid for everything that you own, basically.
If that is true, so what?
Damn.
better have a rich bitch than a broke bitch. What the fuck are you talking about? If that's true, I own multiple businesses that I don't talk about. Some that I've talked with you about, right? I own an income tax business, I own a property management company as well. I own a real estate company as well. We make, on average, $750,000 a year just based on the income tax business alone.
Jesus.
But every time you see me, I'm in a $100,000 car.
Jeez,
Every time you see me.
your shit's all crazy.
Right.
Shit you got on now is crazy. Everything's always crazy. Shit's always crazy when you pull up to this motherfucker.
Right. So, I mean, I don't care about that. Hey, listen, bro. He talked about, hey, listen, let me tell you something, right? I fuck with champions, bro. Right? I fuck with champions. I don't have no financial problems whatsoever. I don't have no financial problems whatsoever. You hear me? You see this right here?
What is it?
It's every American Express card. Take it.
Let's see what you got going on here, man. Why do you have 3 different
flip it.
licenses, man?
And flip it. That's not licenses. That's how you get into my community. You gotta get swiped into my community.
Why do you have so many things going on in this wallet, man? Why are there so many cards in here?
That's just one.
You got another wallet, man? What's happening right now?
There you go.
Jesus. You don't even carry cash on you? Goddamn.
I don't have to. I don't have to carry cash. I have every American Express card, including the Black Centurion card, on demand. No limit.
Man. Are you still managing Audi Money?
Yeah. So listen, shout out to Normo. Normo is his straight line manager, right? I do booking for him and do consultations for him as well.
Yeah, Audi Money. We've had him on this podcast. His episode went
that's
super
my
viral. He's a legend. His energy is through the roof.
It's all
Phenomenal.
genuine. It's all authentic. It's all raw. No chaser.
He's a hard worker. He's already working. He's already on tour. He's already doing everything you need to do. So you picked him up.
20 tour with Doug.
Yes.
Yep.
Incredible. And then you also said that you're doing comedy Punchline?
Yeah, Punchline again.
Yes.
December 15th, Punchline. Sunday, December 15th.
It's
called Stall 'em Out Debo.
Why are you guys why is it so far away from now? Like when like December 15th, like why do you guys plan it so
just to promote the shit. I move around and travel a lot. You know what I mean? Then Punchline it's a comedy club. They deal with some of the biggest comedians in the country, so I had to get on the calendar.
Okay, cool.
They ain't easy to get on Punchline, especially on the weekend. They don't let novices get a weekend date at Punchline, bro. You gotta be my last show at Punchline, I sold that bitch out.
Yeah. I seen the video. It's crazy.
Yeah, I sold the motherfucker out.
The show was actually fire, I'm not gonna lie, the way you walked into that bitch.
Yeah.
And then
it's called Stall 'em Out Debo.
Why'd you call it that?
Because I'm stalling these motherfuckers out.
Do you talk about real life?
Yes, all of it.
The same shit you talk about here on the...
I take real life events and make it funny. I talk about this. I talk about that. I talk about the things that are transpiring in my life and in the world, current events in my life and things that we see now going on right now. I talk about them.
That's crazy, bro. Oh yeah, Big Meech is home, right? You were just talking about how you knew that before it happened. How'd you know that Big Meech was coming home before he came home?
Because I'm in the know.
Okay, cool.
I'll put it like that.
So you knew, and you just had to keep...
I announced it first.
You did?
In my Instagram, I announced that Big Meech was home before anybody did.
Wow.
From Detroit.
Damn. The new Instagram page you did it? Or?
Yeah.
I wasn't following you at the time. Damn. Yeah. So you figure out Big Meech is coming home. What's your thought process about how the city's responding to it and what's been happening with it?
Big Meech is a nationwide figure, bro. It ain't just Detroit.
Yeah, but still.
You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, what it really is doing is going to expose a lot of motherfuckers who was claiming BMF, in his absence. You know what I'm saying? Because it wasn't really Southwest T to do that. Because Southwest T and Big Meech, you had 263, which was Southwest T's crew. They wasn't together. It was said they had two different crews when they got locked up. So BMF was Meech and 263 was T shit. You know what I'm saying? So you don't really get the real BMF experience because T came home. Salute to that as well, though. But the experience with Meech come home, he an icon. He a cultural icon. He was an out front phenomenon. So it is what it is, man.
Well, All-Star JR made like a funny kind of statement towards it, saying like, he's like, Big Meech came home doesn't mean nothing for you guys. It's like, why is everybody celebrating it when it doesn't mean nothing for anybody but like him and his people?
Because he's a part of the urban folklore across the country. Because very rarely do you see a person who was a drug kingpin, quote unquote, of that magnitude ever come home again. That almost never happens. Big Meech went to prison and came home in your lifetime. Normally that never happens. Normally when drug kingpins who reach that level come home, they be 78 years old, bro.
You know what terms it is that he got to come home early?
Nope, no.
And also, can you just give us the lineage of your perspective of Big Meech? Like what you saw from your understanding of his whole lineage from
What you mean?
like his start till now and what Detroit.
His start was much like a lot of different people who chose to sell drugs in Detroit.
Yeah.
It wasn't just Big Meech. You know, Detroit produces Big Meeches. Maybe not to that level, but long before there was a BMF, there was a YBI. There was
It was a Curry family
the
too.
Curry Boys. There was Chambers.
Mhm.
There was a Best Friends. There was 100 Strong, 50 Strong. There was the A-Team. There was
But he's just one of the ones that got.
Pony Down.
He
Pony
handled
Boys.
things the right way when he got caught. Basically, is why he seen it.
According to the people, you know, I mean, I don't know. I know he gave up a couple of $100 million.
Oh my god!
You know what I'm saying? I know he surrendered a couple of $100 million, and I think the feds took that into consideration. You know, initially when they, you know what I'm saying? Okay, don't give me life. Here go $200-300 million type.
You can
shit.
do that.
Yeah, they took money when it was seized. They didn't know where that money was like that, bro. You know what I'm saying? Big Meech was a billionaire, bro. He's seen billions of dollars. Yeah.
Damn, I did not know he was a billionaire, man.
Yeah, he's seen billions of dollars. I don't know if he had it all at one time, but he's seen billions of dollars.
Who's your not? I'm not saying the word idol, but who's your figure as far as the greatest to ever do it on the gangster level?
The greatest to ever do it on the gangster level?
Yeah.
Bumpy Johnson. Because of what he had to fight. He was fighting racism. He was fighting the Italian mob, the Irish mob, the Irish police, the Italian police. He was doing it on the grand scale, on the grand stage in New York. He had relationships with the Italian mafia, the Irish mafia, the Jewish mafia. He had to navigate his way through all that shit, and he fought against all of them. He was able to persevere through it all.
Yeah.
Bumpy Johnson. If I had to idolize, or if I had to say if I had to be, if I was a rapper still, and if I had to choose the name of a gangster, I would choose Bumpy Johnson.
Yeah. Do you feel like White Boy Rick is a figure that, he's out obviously and about and he's promoting himself a lot around Detroit? Do you connect with him at all? Do you have
No, I don't connect with him.
You don't have any association with White Boy Rick?
No, none.
All right.
Nor do I want any. Don't forget, in Detroit, I'm an Eastsider. I'm an Eastsider in Detroit. I'm an Eastsider in Pontiac. I moved to Detroit in 1986. White Boy Rick was still free. He was still free. My White Boy Rick was still free. Big man, little man Curry hadn't went to prison yet. The Chambers were still running around this bitch. The Best Friends were still popping. Demetrius Holloway was still here. The boys and Brewsters, Lawrence and KK and them, Bobbly Bo, Blumberjack, they were still doing their thing. You know what I'm saying? YBI was still in full effect in 1986. So I was down here. So I understand, what he did and how it impacted just the overall. I ain't trying to glorify the drug culture, bro, but you know what I'm saying? And I understand he was a kid, he was young, but he was still in the game. He still knew what he was doing.
Yeah. Appreciate you, Dawgface, for being a part of this, man. Appreciate you stopping by. You're flying back to Atlanta, I'm assuming, pretty soon?
No, I'm on the way to Tampa Bay.
What are you doing in Tampa?
Music shit, iHeartRadio.
Dope.
Right, promoting all the different shit. One Take Timmy, shout out to One Take Timmy from Louisville, Kentucky, one of the dopest rappers out of Louisville, Kentucky. Shout out to All Money. You know what I'm saying? All Money concert down there, I think it's November 5th, I believe it is. I'll be in the building down there.
Smart.
And we're going to iHeartRadio for the interviews.
Smart motherfucker for that pickup. God damn.
Yeah.
All right, we're at Parallel Sound Studio, High Level Visual Shooting Productions. We're out. Peace.